people you surround yourself with matter so much. Like 99% of people, all they do is they talk negatively. I can't do this. I can't do that.
Most people's dreams could be achieved in 1 week. For me, it was like, dang, I'm looking at my personal goals. I'm looking at my professional goals. I'm like, what are these things could be easily done next week?
I was a broker. I just switched to City Plat. I had been there about 3 or 4 months, and I heard them say commercial academy, mention it over and over again. I was like, man, I want to go to that. That sounds sick. I went to it, and it just opened my eyes to see these regular people going up on stage saying, yeah, I bought this deal. We stabilized it. We sold it. We made $500,000. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Commercial Real Estate Blueprint Podcast. Today's a different kind of episode. You guys seem to give us a lot of positive feedback when we do these. It's just kind of me and Jesse riffing, talking about or riffing. I don't know what the right word is there, but talking about, we were just thinking about our goals. We just came off a couple cool things, City Plat's goal meeting. And I think in one of the last episodes we did like this, we were talking about vague goals we had, but we hadn't had them set in stone. Well, now they're set in stone. So we're really excited to kind of dig through that. And we've talked and harped a lot about the importance of goals, but we're just going to discuss kind of what we're thinking for this year and the thoughts behind it. And yeah, I'm excited to dig into this stuff, man.
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's riffing. I'm not sure. Like, I would think like a riff on a guitar, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I said but, rifting, whatever. Same thing.
Well, first, before we get in, Graham, you just got back from Costa Rica. I've heard some of the stories, but I wanted to make sure like we got this on the podcast because this is actually pretty cool. So Graham and all of us, we typically do like once a year man venture trip. And fortunately I couldn't go, but buddy was getting married and he's a good buddy of mine from college. So I didn't want to miss that. But Graham, tell us all about Costa Rica.
Yeah, man, it was sick. So if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, or heard me talking on the podcast, it's kind of like a vision I had a couple years ago, really when I started having kids. Like I had my daughter and then we had my other 2 sons. And with my friend group, we've always been really adventurous. We like surfing, cliff jumping, all kinds of stuff like that. We've always loved that stuff. And as time went on and I had more kids and my friends had kids, I was like, man, I don't see my friends hardly at all, which is just a natural progression of life, which, a little bit of that is just you have to understand that's the reality. You got to take care of your family first. But my thought was, as we progress in our careers and stuff like that, people were making a little more money. Back in the day in high school, you couldn't just swing going to Costa Rica or something. And it's like now that, we have a job, like everyone's got a job, we're in commercial real estate, we're investing stuff and we get points and all that stuff. It's like these trips are more attainable, especially if you're doing like a 3 or 4 day trip. So it's like, all right, we got to do I'm going to call it a man venture. And once a year, all the boys are going to get together. We're going to go somewhere tropical. And, I watched a lot of like surfing stuff. I'm not very good, but I'm a wannabe surfer. And, they go on strike missions is what they call it, where they like see a swell come in and they go somewhere. So I was like, we got to do that. We got to repeat that, but with the boys. And so we did that last year in Puerto Rico, me and Jesse and 8 other people. So it's 10 total went. This year, a lot of people dropped off for valid reasons. One of them was in the military. One of them, Jesse had a wedding. We told him he should skip it, but he didn't listen. We told him, tell him he had COVID and then just don't post anything on Instagram. He wouldn't do it. But anyways, long story short, we went to Costa Rica. There were 6 of us this time. Man, it was absolutely sick. It was absolutely sick. We stayed in Tamarindo, which is like, when I was looking up places to stay and stuff, this popped up over and over again, had really good surfing. Food was really good. It was just like an adventure spot. And man, we did all kinds of stuff. We surfed the first day, got some good food. And I think the coolest thing we did by far is while we were sitting there, so we surfed for like probably 2 hours or something like that in the morning. And we were pretty sauced, obviously, because none of us are in that good of shape. Yep. So my camera just died, switched over. But so we were surfing for a while. We're getting pretty gassed because the waves were bigger in North Carolina. We were like, let's get some food. So we went up and got like this little beach thing and beach restaurant. We sat down and got some food. And as we were sitting there, if you ever go to one of these places, you probably know that like these people come up to you all the time and like offer you stuff. Hey, do you want to buy this little penguin or like whatever, all these little trinkets and stuff. But this guy walked up and he's like very not pushy at all. He's like, hey, I have a boat if you guys want to do a tour. And we had been talking about wanting to do like a catamaran tour or something like that. But he's like, he pointed out there, it's like this tiny little schooner. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, yeah, it's just me and 2 guys. And I was like, could you take us diving? Like, we didn't scuba dive because not everybody's certified. I'm not, I want to get that way, but we were going to do some free diving. And he was like, yeah, I could take you that like diving for sure. And like my guys, they're like locals, they know the best spots. And he was like speaking kind of broken English. And so long story short, we took a chance. We met this guy later that night to give him a $200 cash deposit. We didn't know if we were getting scammed or not. Next morning, we pull up to the beach. He's not there. We're like, dang, we got scammed. But he finally pulled up on his little dinghy and he took us out to the boat. And man, it was awesome. We sailed from Tamarindo, like around the corner to this national park. He took us to multiple different spots where we got to free dive. We told him we really wanted to see sharks. So we were looking for sharks for hours. Couldn't find any, unfortunately, but we saw some cool fish. And I think we legitimately swam like a mile because the guy he anchored his boat and then we swam out to like the tip and back. And that was probably like a half a mile total. And then we did that again. I was like, dang, like I'm not like by any means in super good shape or anything, but I was pretty proud of myself for making it that far. And I was like, the average Joe who's like not that excited about water and might be scared of it probably would drown. Like you're literally just floating out there. The boat's super far away. If you go under, you're cooked. And it was sick. Yeah, it was sick though, man. It was awesome. After that, what else did we do? Next day we went and found some cliffs. Like on the way back to the airport, the water was just crystal blue, like unbelievable. Looked fake. Like if you're going to like Disney World or Disney Springs or whatever, you see like that super colored like fake water. That's what it looked like, but it wasn't fake. And it was like this cave. Oh man, it was so cool. I want to go back. But I think what's cool about traveling, and Jesse, I'm sure the same way, and people listening probably the same way, it's like when you go on these trips, for me, it just gets me so hyped up and I get so inspired because it's like, that's the point. Like we're doing all this, we're buying commercial real estate, trying to get cash flow. At least I am for this reason. It's not like to, be super rich or something. No, it's like to go to the beach with my friends, have awesome adventures, make these memories that I'll never forget that trip. I'll never forget last year. Like just amazing. And in my mind, like, we're big Jesse Itzler fans. He talks about building like a life resume and like going to Costa Rica and going sailing and stuff. Yeah. Jesse's pointing to his big ass calendar in the back. It's like, I'll never forget that. And that's so cool, man. It just makes me hyped up on my goals and yeah. But one of the goals I came out of that, I think I came out with two goals. One, these aren't official goals that I had written down prior, but this is something I was thinking of. I'd always had in the back of my head, had an idea of like, I want to go with my family, like take my family somewhere for like a month, like in December. I was always thinking Hawaii. I like Hawaii. I still like Hawaii better. People said I like Costa Rica better. I like Hawaii better, but Costa Rica is so much quicker to get to from North Carolina. Like it's an hour and a half to Miami and then about 2.5 hours to Costa Rica versus Hawaii's 2 6-hour flights. So like, it's just definitely more accessible, more realistic, get there quicker. So I probably will go back there. But anyways, I want to take my family somewhere tropical in the winter every year for 1 month. I think that'd be so sick. I can work from there. I can work remote and it would be epic. So that's one goal. The other goal is I kind of want to learn Spanish, man. I know a little bit of Spanish. Everybody was like, some of the guys on the trip know more Spanish than me and it's useful. It's useful to know. And my wife wants my kids to know Spanish. So I'm like, I may as well learn a little bit, at least enough to be dangerous. Like, especially I'm going to take my kids back. Like, you got to know at least a little bit to get around, which I know like where's the bathroom and stuff like that, but that's about it.
The important stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. We learned all kinds of stuff, but
no, that's cool. I was actually talking with Sierra about that, my fiance, and we were talking about we're potentially planning a longer trip to Iceland next year. Not like for sure, but tentatively. And we're talking about like longer trips and like, I didn't write this down yet or anything like that, but I do think like 2027, my goal is to do like Italy for a month or something like that and like take a whole month and go. Cause you think about it, you only have so many years before you start having kids. And then it just makes it a little bit tougher to like, go for somewhere for a month. And it's not that like you couldn't do it, but it just makes it a little bit tougher and it's just slightly more inconvenient for those that have kids to understand that. I don't have kids yet. And like, all my friends have kids. And so like, I'm hearing it and it's like, I want to take the time and the cool thing about, the Kevin's trips from Jesse Itzler and like this man adventure stuff, it's just you're intentionally planning in time to hang out with your friends and stuff like that when you're adults. Like that's how that's the only way to do it. Like you have to be intentional about it. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, let's, I think without further ado, let's jump into our goals. For sure.
There's two more things I was going to ask you though, or one thing real fast. One is I think average, like I'm not like above average. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say arrogant, but I feel like people quickly jump to I can't do that. Like that's their default mindset, like with kids, right? Like I know people like 2 kids and you're like, I can't take them on a trip. I'm like, bro, we took 3 kids to Hawaii under 5. And it's not tooting my own horn. It was definitely challenging, but it was so worth it. Oh my gosh. So like definitely you can't have the same trip when you have kids, but you can still take your kids. Like it's not that difficult. You just have to have the balls to do it. And not saying you don't, but just like people in general. So that's one thing. Second thing I was going to talk about before we get into the goals is, I'm bummed because I'm not bummed. I'm about to have a baby. My wife's about to have a baby. So we're very excited. But the day I got back, by the way, at the end of the trip, it was just so happened to fall on when the snowstorm or this ice storm hit. And so we were supposed to come back Sunday. We got stranded in Miami on Sunday night and Monday, and then finally came back Monday. But we went to Nashville and like we got rerouted all over the place. So it was kind of wild. But the day we got back Monday was the day my wife turned 37 weeks. So that's basically like I'm not going anywhere anymore because she could have the baby at any point. Just so happens that Commercial Academy is starting tomorrow. And I just realized you're flying out tomorrow, not today.
Yeah, I'm flying out in the morning. Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, it's Thursday. So you might be a little late, right? To the getting into the meeting or whatever.
I'll be able to be there by lunchtime. Yeah.
That's nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so Jesse's about to go to Commercial Academy. So talk to us a little bit about that in Orlando.
Yeah. So I decided to fly in a little bit later than we would normally go out on Thursday, but I figured I would just roll in early Friday morning, just because the way the flights kind of work direct from Raleigh. And then I'm gonna stay super late on Sunday night. I'm planning on meeting a few friends that I have already like set up, like people that are in Commercial Academy and actually people that are not in Commercial Academy. We're working on a deal outside, like brokerage deal, but I'm actually going to meet that guy for coffee on Sunday. So just kind of like stacking as much like meetings. And it's also good to see people, being in a mentorship group is not just about learning. It's about making friends in the group, and they push you. And it's like a way to, like, I know people in Texas, I know people in California, and like, it's nuts. Like your network just dramatically increases. And so my plan is not just to learn from, once you've gone a couple times, you've kind of heard a lot of the material, but it's great reminders to just hear crap. Like, we're not doing the basics of this portion of commercial real estate. Like, we need to be better about, mailers, or we need to be better. We could tweak our mailer. Like, what does our letter actually say? Hey, that's a new twist. Like, there's all kinds of like little tidbits that you get here and there. And you don't just get it from the presentation of people on stage, you get it from people in the audience. You're talking to people in between. Like, that's where me and Graham just absolutely love, just like talking to people, meeting people. I think that's another cool thing about not just doing it here in Raleigh, but going to different places. You meet different people, people from Florida. Hey, what are you looking for? And, how can we work together? There's a lot of collaboration that happens in that room, and it's super cool. So I'm super excited. I'm excited to learn a lot, and they're long days, but they're so worth it. You start at like, I think it's 8 in the morning. I usually try to get in there before that so I can talk to people beforehand. And then it's just an amazing long day all the way to like 10 and 11 o'clock at night, hanging out with friends that you've not seen in a little bit, and I'm just super excited because it's always just a super fun event.
Yeah, dude, it's the best. You're giving me major FOMO right now, but I love it. I always get a large cold brew, get in there at like 7:30, and I'm just hyped. I'm wired the whole day. But it's the best. Like, you guys hear us talk a lot about Commercial Academy, and we talked a lot about them. And then we, it was kind of a surreal moment. We talked about them forever. I was like their biggest fan. Mm-hmm. And then we got sponsored by them. So sick. So, obviously you hear the ads in the episode. And that wasn't like, we didn't reach out to them. They reached out to us, which was just awesome. It was like proof of concept, because literally, I guess coming up here 2 years ago is the first time I went to Commercial Academy. I went to Commercial Academy 2 years ago in Orlando by myself. I was supposed to go with another guy from my office. He bailed on me. And so then it was just me. And the partners came a couple days later, but it was just me. And that forced me to just say, all right, screw it. I got to go talk to all these people, which I'm like decently with talking to people anyways. I'm not very shy, but it forced me like, all right, I'm going to talk to as many possible people as I could. So I did that. When I went out, talked to a bunch of people, made a bunch of friends who I'm still friends with today. Mm-hmm. And like Jesse said, you go to these mastermind events, and it's not even about like, yes, the content is good. 100%. And if you're new in commercial real estate, or even like medium in commercial real estate, you will learn little 100%. Nuggets. Like me and Jesse are, we're not, we're a little past medium maybe, but we still take away nuggets every time. Most information is repetitive at this point because we've seen it multiple times, but there's little nuggets that we take away every time that can change your business dramatically. But if you're brand new, you're going to be overwhelmed by learning so much information. And no matter what, you learn more. But the biggest thing you take away is the network. The people there are amazing. I swear there's no better group in the country than this group. Like, there's a bazillion masterminds. Yeah. But I feel like I've said it before, like to Jesse privately, it's like these other masterminds, you sign up and you're with a bunch of other noobs. And nothing against that. Nothing wrong with that. But in this group, you sign up and it's like, oh, that guy has a $400 million portfolio. Oh, that guy has $10 million in real estate. Oh, that guy's got almost $1 billion. Like, it's not just a bunch of new people. It's like mostly not new people, and with sprinkled in with some new people. So you immediately jump in and get access to these people who have so much information. And guys, this is not like a planned thing. We're like, oh, let's promote this event because it's about to happen tomorrow. This podcast can come out afterwards. This is just me genuinely speaking. So like, one, the network is massive. And then another thing too, like he's talking about, is just like, this is what changed the game for me. I was a broker. I just switched to City Plat. I had been there about 3 or 4 months, and I heard them say commercial academy, commercial academy, commercial academy. I heard them mention it over and over again. I was like, man, I want to go to that. That sounds sick. So I got the opportunity to go to it. I went to it, and it just opened my eyes to see these regular people going up on stage saying, yeah, I bought this deal. We stabilized it. We sold it. We made $500,000. And I was like, whoa, I could do that. Like, I could do that. We could go out there and do that. And then a year later, we went out and did it, and we bought a building. We're about to sell it hopefully in the next couple of months, make a couple $100,000, which is sick. And does it take time and effort and work? Yes, it does. But it's just crazy. It opens your eyes. That's really what it is. Like, it's proof. You go in there and you say, wow, if these people can do this, I can do it too. And that's just that's so important to see regularly, because you get around people, like, it's so true and cheesy that the people you surround yourself with matter so much. Like 99% of people, all they do is they talk negatively. Yeah. I can't do this. I can't do that. The world sucks. This sucks. I've got all these problems that is due to me, and like, I'm just unlucky, and like, people just have the worst mindsets ever. And getting around just a little bit of that mindset that's just next level will change the game. So that's like a perfect segue into our goals meeting. So City Plat, the company we've been with, I've been there almost 3 years, or maybe 3 years, can't remember at this point. Jesse's been there over a year at this point. And every year, this is so important that they dedicate a whole day, almost 8 hours. This time I think it was like 4 or 5. And then the second half we do something fun. But they dedicate an entire day, phones off, phones down, nobody's doing anything. But each person gets up and they talk about the goals they set last year, where they landed on them. I got it, I didn't get it, I came halfway. And then they talk about their goals for the coming year. And so every year we do this. And there's probably 20 of us or so, and every single person goes up. After every single person goes up, then 4 or 5 people will give feedback to each person. Hey man, you did great this last year. I think you could improve a little bit here. I think you could improve a little bit there. Otherwise, you did amazing. Keep going. And it's just the sickest environment, like we're talking about. It's getting in the right environment. It's crazy. So yeah, tell me a little bit about what you took away from this goals meeting that we did this recently.
Well, it's something that we've told each other. It's, I think Nikita's quote was, most people's dreams can be achieved in 1 week. And that for me was like, dang, I'm looking at my personal goals. I'm looking at my professional goals. I'm like, what are these things could be easily done, next week? What barriers do I have for myself and my own goals that I think it's going to take all year? Some of these, probably will take a little bit of time, but achieving a what we call a big pot, 50 grand of commission in one check or assignment or flip or something like that, like that could easily be done, easily, not in that much time. So like, it's something for everybody to think about. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, like, I don't know that if I can do that this week. Like, I don't know if I could do that this year, this lifetime. Like, throw that away and see what you can actually do. Give yourself a chance, kind of thing. But I think that's the biggest takeaway, honestly, from the meeting. There's a bunch of feedback and stuff like that, but I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it was sick. We were sitting there, and Nikita was talking about people's goals and stuff, and Nikita's a beast. If you know him, he's awesome. We love Nikita a lot and have learned so much. And he was like, he literally said, most people's dreams can be achieved by the end of the week. And I literally just was like, stood up, I didn't stand up, but I popped my head. I was like, oh, that's fire. That's
we looked at each other like,
I was like, that is such a good quote, because people just prolong their goals and set like low goals that like are so achievable in their head. And guys, I'm not sitting here talking down to people. I did the same thing for years and years. I still struggle with this, like, thinking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. But it's like, you just set these mediocre goals, and that's better yet if you set a freaking goal. Most people don't even set goals. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're trying to better yourself, you probably have some goals. But if you go out in the daily life, like, I ask a couple people I'm friends with, hey, what are your goals? They're like, goals? What are you talking about? And like, that's crazy, and I attribute a lot of that to City Plat. But prior to City Plat, I didn't have many goals. I had a couple, but not like this. So goal setting is so important, and then setting the right goals is also important. You want to set something that's, we read The Science of Scaling. They talk about impossible goals. I kind of took that approach to my goal setting this year. Instead of just having one, though, I have a couple different ones for each category. So we're getting into that. But moral of the story is, like, if you think you got this impossible goal, if you set this goal and it's not even that hard, just go do it. Like, you could probably do it fast, much faster than you think. And that, it reminds me too of like, we like Brian Lubin too, and he's got that. He's mentioned this, and other people mentioned. I think it's called Parkinson's law. But basically, like you like when you set yourself a time frame, so like a month, right? If just like I'm going to write a paper in 1 month, well, guess how long it's probably going to take you? It's probably going to take you a month. But if you say I'm going to write this paper by tomorrow, you're probably going to do it by tomorrow. So anyways, the whole thing of the impossible goal or that style of goal setting is like, instead of having like a 10-year goal, which used to be the normal, take your 10-year goal, shrink it down to 3, and then take your 3-year goal and shrink it down to 1. And it's like, how could I do that in 1 year? And it's probably impossible, but that's the point. It's supposed to push you. Guess what? If I say I'm going to want to make $1 million this year, I could maybe make $600,000-$700,000 versus if I set a goal to make $100,000, it's just an example. Then, maybe I'll make 100. But if you hit 100 and you could have set your goal for $1 million and even you hit 300, then you did 3x what your mediocre goal would have been. So it's just something to think about. So yeah, we broke it down. I broke it down a couple ways. Jesse's very similar: acquisition, content, travel, faith, family, fitness. So there's kind of the categories I got my goals in. I know Jesse's got very, very similar things too, but yeah, tell me about the cash flow goal, baby, the acquisition goal.
And I said this at the annual goal meeting, but if outside of, getting married is a goal of I have this year, but outside of that, if I only did one goal, it's adding 10 grand of passive income in 2026. Adding, not getting to, adding. And people are thinking, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like, I don't think this guy can do it. There's a lady in Commercial Academy that they've always present this deal. She made $10,000 of passive income on one deal. I think it actually might have been more, but she did 10,000 for sure on one deal. So you just got to find the right deal.
100%. And that's mine too. So we have the same acquisition goal. So we're aligned. We'd like to each add $10,000 additional, not including in our existing getting to 10,000. No, it's $10,000 more in cash flow. And Jesse's right. Does that sound hard? Yeah, it sounds hard. That's the point. We're trying to push ourselves. Are we going to hit that? I don't know. We'll see. Next year we might do a podcast and be like, hey, we only got 1,000 or something. I hopefully that's not the case, but the point is to set a goal that when you hear it, it sounds, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Because then it's going to push yourself. In the premise we talked about before is like, if we do what we did the last 2 years, we won't get to 10,000. But that's the whole point. It's supposed to shake it up and say, well, you can't do what you did the last 2 years. You have to think of new ways. So we got to do bigger deals, or we have to find deals that have more upside, or maybe we got to sell a deal and trade into a deal. Like it makes you think of new pathways is what they call it in the book. Yeah. So that's the goal there. What you got next?
I've got purchase 4 commercial properties. And while I wrote this down, I just felt that that's another push, right? And this is outside of our current pipeline. So we have 2 under contract, one that we're buying just Graham and I, and then another one we're buying with City Plat. The reason I wrote it down is I wanted to push myself in the sense of like, we've bought, let's see, I think we bought 3 was the most in one year that we actually bought. We did one of those with City Plat. But I think that
3 deals, 7 buildings.
3 deals, 7 buildings. But
no, 6 buildings, excuse me, sorry.
Oh, yeah, 6. I just feel like we can do more. Like, I think sometimes we think, oh my gosh, like we got a deal in our contract, we need to focus on that. Like, no, you can buy multiple at one time. We've actually already done it. So it's just a good reminder for myself of like, we can actually do more. Not saying that we necessarily have to, but like I said earlier, the main goal is adding 10 grand of passive income this year. What do you got next?
So jumping into content, obviously we're big believers in content. We got the podcast. I post occasionally on my Instagram, and we're trying to shape that. It's challenging, right? You got LinkedIn, you got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got Twitter or X or whatever. You got all these different things, and it's definitely true that like you can be a jack of all trades but a master of none. So I've been really trying to reevaluate my content strategy because I've been posting for years and not really done that well, honestly. I mean, that's not true, actually. Done very well in a sense of people reach out to us consistently, which is awesome. We love it when you guys do that. If you have questions or you want to just talk to us with the podcast, please reach out. Instagram DM. I've gotten on phone calls from multiple people who've listened to the podcast. I got 3 people I got a call this week. No joke. From the podcast, which is awesome. And I love it. I love talking to people about commercial real estate. Genuinely. I also had a guy reach out for me from a reputable investment firm. And he said, hey, I'd love to see how I can send you deals. And he found us from the podcast. I was like, hell yeah. That's what we're trying. That's the point. That's why we did this podcast. We want to help people learn, get our brand awareness out there and get deals. So sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but
that's the importance of content.
Yeah, my strategy is going to be shifting from, instead of trying to do LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, I'm going to focus on YouTube first. And I actually have a YouTube coach. Shout out to my coach. He, I was in a YouTube program with this guy named Nolan Molt. He was on a channel called Think Media. If you guys look at YouTube or how to grow your YouTube, you've heard of Think Media. He was on that. He left. I joined his program. Nolan's, he made $100,000 in a month after leaving because he started a YouTube channel and then started a community. Now, that's not our plan, but I do want to grow as quickly as he did in a sense of his YouTube channel. And he only had like 15,000 subs or whatever. So I think I paid like $2,000 to be in that community. I was in it for 6 months. I learned a ton. He gave me some great advice on the podcast and the channel and stuff like that. And then the guy who helped him run that was a guy named Vivek. Vivek was like the behind the scenes man. He set up the school community and all that stuff. He sent out a thing saying like, hey, if you were in this program, I'll coach you one-on-one. And so I was like, all right, let me see what this is about. So I got on there, got in the program with him. Turns out it was only like $280 a month or something like that to get on a call with him once a week and him give me advice on stuff. So anyways, his advice is to split the channel into having just a podcast channel and then a second channel where I talk about the deals and the vlogs and stuff like that. So I'm still debating whether I want to do that or not. I might just keep it all on one channel for simplicity's sake. I don't know, but it's not that hard. All you have to do is add a second channel under the same email address. So anyways, with all that being said, my focus is going to be YouTube. The podcast is going to keep going. We're going to keep posting. Probably going to try to improve the thumbnails and stuff like that. Then I'm going to be posting like hopefully at least twice a month deal breakdowns. So right now I'm working on or vlogs of trips and stuff. So right now I'm working on when we went to Newport Beach. I filmed a bunch of footage. I never got around to editing it. So I have an editor who's editing that. I'm trying to set up a system. And my goal is to get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, whether that's between both channels or on one channel, it doesn't matter. 5,000 total. Right now, our podcast channel is at like 1,350, which is pretty good. Last year, my goal was to get to 1,000 subs. Hit that. 1,000 supposedly is the hardest to get to. And it's kind of been on autopilot. We've got an editor who's awesome. We've got a guy who posts it for us who's awesome. Thumbnails. I gave him a template to do and he listened to me there about I definitely want to improve. And I think if we make a couple tweaks, then we could probably grow it even more. So my goal for content is to focus strictly on YouTube. And then what I will do is I'll probably have, somebody clip up the YouTube stuff and put it on my Instagram, LinkedIn, but I'm not going to be trying to make content for Instagram aside from just the fun stuff. Like I posted some stuff about Costa Rica. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. Maybe that'll bump me up a little bit, but yeah, I like making stuff like that. Yeah, so that's my content goal.
I had a content goal last year and kind of like what Graham said, we kind of got lost in trying to post on every single platform. And I definitely fell victim to that. I felt like, oh my gosh, I just have to post. And I want to balance that line of quality, but also keep posting. We were talking about that before this episode, like recording this. And but basically the reason I don't want to set myself into a trap of like, I have to post like X amount of times is because I do want to post quality. But I think the balance of that is like, I still have to post something. I was challenged over the holidays. I ran into an old buddy of mine and he's like, hey, y'all still doing the podcast? Like honestly, I just haven't posted a bunch on Instagram and that's why he hadn't seen it. And it's like, crap, dude, like I need to actually continue to keep posting. And so I'm probably going to up it to like 2 to 3 of like a personal, not like non-written down, like 2 or 3 posts a month on Instagram. And I do want to grow my YouTube. I'm still kind of like molding my strategy, but I think like what Graham said, like we need to have a YouTube system of something that we can actually use because filming content, while it's hard, is only about like 20% of the struggle. You got to find a title, you got to find a thumbnail, you got to find editor, you got to find a poster. Like you could do all that stuff too, yes, but I don't like you have to have a system in order to do it continually and do it well, right? And so that's what we're kind of going to try to build this year. Let's see.
Yeah, dude. Let me just butt in there for a second. The struggle is that it's taking a lot of time away now for activities that can make us money now.
Yeah.
For something that can make us a lot of money, and it's not about the money. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to make a living, so it is a little bit, right? But I personally love making videos, like documenting. I want people to learn and stuff. So like that's like the main goal. But if we can, people make a lot of money from YouTube, and so if we could get a sense of where we got basically like it's a personal brand. It's kind of a buzzword the last couple of years, but people make a lot of money with the personal brand. So if we can keep doing what we're doing and also help people along the way, and then also supply funding for deals and stuff at the same time, it's amazing. But stopping cold calling for brokerage, looking for acquisition that could make us, a $10,000 check, a $20,000 check, all these, we could make a lot of money from brokerage today. So like I waffle back and forth, but I'm going to stop it completely. I'm just going to focus on brokerage until I get my brokerage and cash flow until I get it up to a certain level, and then I can focus more on it. But it's like, but then if I started in 2 years, it's going to take me 2 more years to grow it. Cause it's just like commercial real estate. It's anything that's worth doing takes a lot of time. So
yeah,
it's trying to allocate. That's the hardest thing.
It's the focus problem. Yeah.
it's focus, but just like time of we don't have enough time to do everything, and we want to
Yeah.
grow it, but you don't want to take too much time off the brokerage because then you're not making any money. So it's definitely a struggle, but we
Mhm.
know it's very important. I mean, people like you got Alex Ramosi, he was making tons of money prior to doing content. Then he went all in on content. Kevin O'Leary, he's already made a ton of money. He has his own YouTube channel. All these people know that it's like, it is the thing that you need to do. You wouldn't see all these mega, I mean, Ryan
100%.
Serhant is probably at this point, the most successful residential broker ever, probably. Maybe not, but he's up there. And it's all because he just started filming himself. Like, no
Yeah.
joke. It's wild, honestly. But yeah. All right. Bumping into the next category, travel.
Yeah.
So for me, my wife is due next month. We're filming this January 29th. She's doing actually 2 weeks, which is wild. Holy crap. Middle of February. And so, for a couple months, we're not going to be going nowhere, obviously. But this year's travel is definitely more mellow. Last year, we got to go all over the place. I'm so thankful. One of my buddies, I saw him yesterday at church, and he's like, "What's up, world traveler?" And I was like, "That's cool, man. I that's what I aspire to be." But anyways, I want to do 3 family trips. Nothing crazy, probably just like the North Carolina beach, North Carolina mountains, maybe somewhere else. But, I'd like to do a trip with my wife and kids 1 to 2 times, and then a trip with my whole family, like my mom, my dad, my brother, sister, wife, kids, my immediate family. So 3 of those. I'd like to do 2 commercial real estate events. Hey, I'm not going to Orlando, but I think the next commercial academy is in May, and that's like Vegas. I won't hit that one because
Cleveland
we're
is
still
August.
we still have a brand new baby. So likely the next time I go will be Cleveland, which that'll be sick. And then I've heard there's a small bay summit, and I heard it might be in New York. My wife and I went to New York. It was sick. I used to hate on going to New York when I was younger. I only wanted to do outdoor adventure stuff, but we've been to some cool places, and it's just such a new experience for me and my wife that I really enjoyed. It was really fun. It was also cool to see all the buildings, and now that I'm commercial real estate, I have a lot more appreciation for the development and design and all that stuff. So it was really awesome. I loved it. So if there's a small bay summit in New York this year, I'd love to go to that. That'd be absolutely sick. And then the last one was a man venture. We did that, checked it off, just got back.
Sick. One thing I didn't hear you say was travel podcast. We did 2, 3 last year. 2 or 3 last year. I would love to do some of those. I think we have one tentatively on the schedule already.
Oh yeah. Maybe we'll keep that one quiet for who it is.
Yeah, well, we won't
Big
say.
guests, but they're partners, and we definitely want to go hit them up.
Yes.
Here, I'll hit you last year real quick with the travel list because it was absolutely epic. I traveled basically every month. First, January, went to Puerto Rico with everyone. February, went to Black Mountain for my dad's birthday.
Yep.
That's North Carolina. So we missed March, but March is because Commercial Academy was in Raleigh. So that was the kind of the event that the month. April, we went to Austin, Texas to do a podcast with Brian Lubin. In May, we went to Boone for a family reunion. In June, we went to Fort Lauderdale and met Todd Napola. And then also in June, I went to Carolina Beach with my family. At the end of June, we went to Wrightsville for the day. So that's not quite a full trip. But in July, we went to Wrightsville again, which is another beach trip for my daughter's birthday. In August, we went camping in the Shenandoah Mountains. And then that was one. And then in August, we also went to Commercial Academy Cleveland. In September, we went to Newport Beach, California for Small Bay. And then I also went to Boone with my wife in September. And then at the end of September into October, we went to Maui, Hawaii with my wife, kids, and dad. In November, went camping with a bunch of people. I think we had like 40 people. That was in Durham, but we stayed at Jordan Lake. It was awesome. And then in November, we went to Boone with me, Charles Brandt for Appalachian State game. And then December, went to New York with my wife.
That's
so
sick,
literally,
dude.
we traveled a ton. It was sick. And then you sprinkled in like some safety tough shows and stuff like that too, right?
I went to Colorado after we went to Newport Beach. I was in Ohio. I think I did the math. It was like 13 or 14 states in the first half of the year last year. And then we still did all those other trips and stuff. It was a lot. It was a lot of fun though. Like, it was sick. I went to Charleston. I was in Nebraska for a wedding in Kansas. And it was an epic year of travel, and definitely want to replicate some of that. I was looking back through, I think I might have traveled somewhere out of state, out of North Carolina, even to see family every single month, which is nuts.
That is nuts. It's also, I'm just sitting here thinking, it's like, guys, you got to look back and be thankful too. Like, I'm so thankful you guys might listen to this and think, man, I'm jealous. These guys are awesome. Like, because I used to listen to podcasts and think the same thing. And then the reality is we're immensely blessed. I'm so thankful. And this is things we planned out years ago, or at least in my mind, it was something I thought like, man, one day I want to be traveling. Like, because I joined City Plat and I saw all the owners of City Plat flying to an event here, flying to an event there. They were traveling consistently. I was like, man, that is so cool. I really want to do that. So, we worked hard to try to replicate that. And I definitely believe that if you work hard on whatever you're doing and you set goals, like that's like we've talked about before, don't believe in visualization necessarily, or maybe visualization, but not manifestation. So like you can definitely think about your goals and write your goals down. I don't believe in manifestation. I think God's got a plan for you in your life. And I think, you do your best to try to do things that are in God's will and set goals that are, sometimes they can be selfish goals, but you obviously say like, I want to do like these commercial real estate and travel things, but I want to do it and to glorify you. That's our goal. And then if he's like, hey, no, you're not going to do that. It's like, okay, well, we got to listen to God and obey what he's saying. But the point of what I'm saying is it's easy to just think like, oh, I want the next thing. But it's so important to look back and think, dude, if me 3 years ago heard about the travel schedule I had last year, I would be so excited and wouldn't believe it. So it's just cool. It's really awesome to think about that stuff.
Which is a good segue into another one of my goals this year, like my biggest travel goal, if you will, is take 6 Kevin's trips. So if you're familiar with Jesse Itzler, like basically 6 trips that you wouldn't typically do. I've got them all, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got them all on my big ass calendar, but it's just trips that me and Sierra have planned together. Part of the year, obviously, we won't be married, but the back half of the year we will be. So we're planning on doing some travel stuff, maybe going up Northeast. We're kind of waffling between Vermont, Buffalo, and maybe even Boston or something like that. We're probably going to do like a beach trip towards the end of the summer. I think it'll be sick. Maybe we can go camping on like Outer Banks.
I'm going to drag you to the beach multiple times, so you better get ready.
Well,
make Jesse learn how to surf.
Yeah, I do need to learn how to surf. Costa Rica probably been the time. Yeah, we don't do those on the counter, but those are gonna be super sick. I'm excited for those.
For sure, man. For sure. So next one, we got faith goals. So, Jesse and I are obviously believers. Last year I had a goal to do a quiet time every day. I flopped on that big time. If I'm just being honest, I flopped on it big time. So this year, my goal is to have a quiet time every single day. And what that means to me, people are very vague about what they believe and stuff, but I mean, that's not throwing shots, but people talk about spirituality and religion and stuff they believe, right? For me, that means I'm spending time every day reading my Bible and I'm praying to Jesus and just asking him to guide me in life, give me wisdom, take care of my family, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good, leader in everything that we're doing, setting an example, and just spending time in the Word, because you're not going to hear from God unless you're reading his Word and praying. Yeah. It's like being disconnected from a lifeline if you're not there, and that's what we believe. So that's what I'm trying to do every single day. I've done pretty good this year so far. It's January 29th. I think I probably missed 5 or 6 days, but it's better than last year already. And each month I'm going to look back and see how many days I did and try to be 100%.
If I can, last year I was very good, but on daily reading. But if I'm honest, there was definitely several days where I didn't sit down and take the time for my quiet time. But then I would do it the next day, and I would keep up with my church's Bible reading plan. So while I didn't necessarily read every single weekday, there was just busyness, forgot, etc. I would make sure the next day, okay, I missed yesterday. I'm going to read yesterday's and today's plan. And if you're looking for something like that, please reach out to me. I've got a New Testament plan. I've got an Old Testament plan that I'm working through right now. Highly recommend starting in the New Testament. It's a little bit easier to read. It's also 1 chapter a day. The Old Testament, just because it's a little bit thicker, it's a couple chapters a day, but it's totally worth it to take the time. We used to say all the time, I can't get through my busy day without making time for what's most important. And that what's most important to me is my quality time with God. Yes, quality time with friends, family, my fiance, but without that, that's the number one thing in my life.
100%. You will not be the man you're supposed to be. You will not be the husband, the father, all that stuff, unless you're doing, having quiet time, because otherwise you're missing out on the whole point. I agree with you fully. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. Super excited to get into it. And then let's see, next, did you have anything that I missed so far? Because I got 2 more, like family fitness, but was there any other ones you missed? I think you talked about the big pop a little bit. We kind of have this, like, it's not a loose goal, it's a goal. So like one of the struggles we have is we're in brokerage, so the income is great. but it can be
few and far between sometimes.
Yeah. It's like feast or famine. That's definitely true. So like sometimes you get a great deal, and Jesse and our team, so we're splitting it. So what we'd like is to have a big pop, is what we call it. So we define that as a check where we each get maybe $50,000 each. That'd be incredible. Whether it is buying a building, turning around and putting it on the market, whether it is a big broker fee where we get 6% on a big deal, or maybe it's a assignment where we assign a deal. But our philosophy with assignment, kind of talked about a little bit, is we don't want to go into a deal to assign it.
Yeah.
We want to go into a deal that we want to buy, that we can take down and have the ability, because we never want to be the guys who put it under contract and then drop a deal. We unfortunately just had to do that. We went into it assuming we were going, like, planning to buy it. No intention of assigning. We got lots of feedback from tenants who didn't like the area. We had basically everything go wrong that could go wrong. We should stress on that a little more because, it sounds like maybe everything's going right for us, but no. We had 2 other buildings under contract. So we had 3 under contract at the same time. So kind of talking about what Jesse said, where we want to do one at a time. There's a balance of, we can do multiple deals at a time and focus on what you got, or else you're going to drop one. So like there's a sweet balance between there. But we had a deal under contract, and our plan was to sell the first building we ever bought and do a 1031. So our tenant drug his feet a little bit, had some issues with the bank. Long story short, it got kicked back a couple months. Well, that screwed us up there. We also had multiple tenants tell us, well, that building's in the hood. We don't want that. We have buildings close by and got positive feedback, so we weren't expecting that. But we didn't get it leased. Our funding got kicked down the road. And we just generally got negative feedback about it. So we're kind of like, man, we never had the intent to pull out. We don't want to be those guys ever, but we did have to back out of that deal. And we had 2 other deals under contract at the same time. So it's kind of hard to keep up with all 3. So we had to drop that one. But anyways, the point of that is, one, we're humans, we mess up. And then number 2, talking about assignment. Yeah. We don't want to go into a deal and drop it ever. So we don't want to put it in a contract just saying we can't close this ourselves. We're just going to flip it. No, we're going to say we're going to close this deal. We can close this deal. We have everything lined up. However, if someone comes along and offers us more, sure, we'd assign it. So yeah, that's kind of our big pop goal.
And I think the mentality for me behind it additionally is, if you go back and listen to our podcast with Jared Elmore from last year, he said you got to sell in the beginning. And that was kind of a struggle for us at first to kind of think about it a little bit. And because our goal is very cash flow oriented, like most people out there. But you got to have equity in deals, and a great way to scale your equity in a deal is by selling one. And so if we, we bought a property, and let's say we did the West Green that we did, let's say we did that in 6 months rather than 2 years, right? Now you've got an additional, let's say $100,000. I don't know what the number is exactly, but $100,000. You do that in 6 months, you have $100,000 now that you didn't have before, that you can move to a next deal and use that. And now your cash flow is even higher because now you have more equity in that deal. You have more money in that deal, and your cash flow is going to be better because you put more money, your own money in the deal, not just like, raise money or something like that. And you're having to take 10% of the cash flow or whatever the numbers are, right? You actually have money in that deal, and that deal is between you two and your partner. I'm just thinking about, Graham and I. I'm just thinking Graham and I.
Yeah.
Because we're comparing the deal that we have done, right? We had to raise money for, and our cash flow, and it's not going to be, as amazing if Graham and I own the deal together. That's just how it works. And now we're looking at this deal that we're about to buy, Lord willing, and the cash flow on it's insane, and then like the rents are still low, and it's like, it's a good reminder for me. Like, we need to get a big pop so that we can move it into the next deal, and our cash flow gets higher faster that way. And that's like another like unlock, if you will, for me personally.
100%. Some people call it the velocity of money, where you like buy a deal, sell a deal, roll the proceeds. And then we're kind of about to do that on the first one. So like we mentioned before, we bought the first deal for $250. We put a tenant in there. First tenant was okay. He paid a couple months, then he started getting squirrely. We kicked him out. Got it. Well, he wanted to get out because he couldn't afford it. And then we got a new tenant in there. He didn't want to rent. He wanted to buy. He said, well, how about we give you the option to purchase, and we'll rent it to you till you buy it. So we gave him the option to purchase it at $410,000. And he said, sure. So he's been paying us rent, and 410 minus 250, that's $160,000. We created $160,000 on a deal that's $250,000. So we're going to sell that. We're going to roll the $160 plus the down payment, so it's close to $200,000, into a new building. And that's in a year and a half span. So that's like exactly what we're talking about. Then we can roll that, $200K leveraged at 20% is what? my math's not good. $1 million, right? $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can just lever up like that pretty quick. Gino, the guy we talked about, I say a lot of these guys we see, like Danny, a guy named Danny Newberry is a podcast we're dropping soon. Gino Barbero, we just had him on, and a lot of them do that. Well, they'll do deals, they'll syndicate, they'll make some cash, and then once they kind of get through that whole cycle, and they're kind of later in their investing, they start playing with their own money, and it's almost like playing with house money, right? Like you do well, and then you get equity, and then you start playing with that into your own deals and being the owner. So yeah. Yep. Other goals. So for me, I have family, obviously, and something I try to do is be intentional about going on dates with my wife. It's very important, especially when you have little kids, and also spend some individual time with my kids, especially since I now have 3, about to have 4. So my goal last year was to get, I believe, 24 dates, which is 2 a month. That's what we found to kind of be realistic. You can't necessarily set impossible goals when you have 3 kids and a wife and a full life for dating. But we set a goal last year. I think we got very close. I think we ended at like 22 or something like that out of 24. This year, I want to do the same thing, 24 date nights with my wife. So that's 2 per month. With the baby, it'll be interesting because, we'll have to stack them in the later half of the year. But 24 date nights. That's where, it's not just sitting around doing nothing. It's where I'm going to take her out to dinner, and then who knows what else. We'll watch a movie or go to a movie or go do something she wants to do, whatever it is. Go on a walk, go on a hike. And then the other one is 2 solo dates per child. Last year, I think I had like 1 solo date per kid and that was just so unrealistic because that would have been like 4 dates a month. So it's like 1 a week. And it's just unrealistic. So anyways, we're to 2 per date, 2 solo dates per child. So that's 6 total. I feel like it's much more realistic having a new baby. Because basically what that means is if I take one of my kids on a solo date, my wife's watching the other 3 of them. And with a baby, that's tough. So I like to do that. Last year, I only got 1 each, which sucked. I took Wilder to a UNC basketball game, and then I took Ava to a Hurricanes game. So that was a lot of fun.
Get married.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything else outside of that for like personal stuff. I do want to be intentional about hanging out with Sierra and doing things because we're definitely a little bit homebodies. I just haven't like really codified what that's going to look like, but kind of switching to fitness a little bit. I definitely want to lose like 20, 25 pounds. I put down 25 pounds in 6 months, which would be roughly the time that I get married. And it's just all about getting in better shape and staying in better shape and eating right, eating better. And I think, what is it exactly? The saying is something along the lines of you have a bunch of problems in your life until you have a health problem, and that's your only problem.
Yeah.
And I remind, my fiance Sierra about that. Not that we have a lot of health issues, but like it's something that we need to be cognizant of to take care of ourselves, to not eat like crap, to exercise, to work out. And like when I was a kid, and especially in college, I worked out like 2 or 3 times a day. Like I just loved it. We'd play basketball for hours, play basketball at Graham in college. We'd play for hours, and there was just like no thought behind it. If I wouldn't go play basketball for 2 or 3 hours now, I probably couldn't walk, for like the rest of the week. And so like that was like an alarm for me. I also have a little bit of a back problem already, and I know older people probably listen to this like, oh, this guy's 28, he can't have back problems. But, that's something I need to work on and make sure I'm moving and make sure I'm, not just sitting down at a desk all day, and I'm getting up and working out. And but I'm excited to do that. I love working out. It's a passion of mine. Just need to dial in nutrition.
Same. Yeah, I got a goal similar where I just want to be, it's not as much about a number as it is like I have, little kids, and after working all day and then coming home and being with them, you can get tired, your energy can go away. Mm-hmm. And I just want to have, really good energy. That's really my biggest thing. I want to have really good energy, and I want to be able to keep up with my kids. Over the last 3 months or so, I've been doing pretty dang good. Or not 3 months, 2 months, ever since I got my home gym. So I got a home gym set up. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you've seen it. Got a Rogue rack, squat rack, box jump, assault bike. Basically enough to do like squats, deadlifts, overhead press, bench press, and then hit some cardio with the assault bike. And so I'm super excited to continue doing that. I feel like I felt it. I felt it swimming. I think I was telling, I don't remember if I was on the podcast or not, but I was talking to Jess about how we swam probably literally like almost a mile. And And I was, I was tired, but I did it. So I was pretty proud. I was like, dang, I think the working out is definitely helping. I feel like a couple months ago, if I'd done this, I would have been done. I probably would have been bottom of the ocean, but we swam quite a bit, and also surfing. Like, I kept up pretty good. So long story short, I got a long way to go, but I'm same way. I want to be able to do function. I want to be functionally fit where I, can keep up with my kids, surf, swim, do all the things I love to do.
Yeah, I think that's good. I put on here, if this is kind of a fun goal. It hit me last year. I'm 28. I've only got 2 more years to drive something cool before I'm 30. So I really want to buy a Porsche this year. I have some things that I need to, I kind of need to do first. Like, that's why I can't just go do it next week. Yeah, no, it's excuses and stuff.
I'm just messing. I'm messing.
But
I'm being a bad influence.
It's a fun goal.
Things you need to do first.
But I do like the way Dan Martell says, like, this is my goal, and when I achieve it, I'm going to go buy the Porsche. And I'm not going to be going and buying a GT3 RS like he did. I'm just going to go buy an old school 2000s Porsche and do some work to it. But I'm excited to do that, and I will not make any more excuses. I will do that in 2026.
Let's go. How much does one of those cost, you think?
Depends on the mileage, and it depends on the model. But I think reasonably you can find one between 20 and 25 grand.
Nice.
So it's really not that bad.
No, it's not bad. I want to.
It's the early 2000s. We're talking like a 2004 is probably my target year. 2003, 2004.
Yeah, I have a fun goal like that too, but I'm waffling on it because there's some other things I need to do. Like, we need to build up reserves for properties and stuff like that. Like, things that take precedent, like more reserves. But I want to buy a boat one day really badly. Like a catamaran, so I can sail around. So like people in Costa Rica or Hawaii, or all these cool places we've been, they sail around, and it's a sailboat. So like you can sail, and then you can also motor, but it's like a great boat for families. You can cruise around, go in the water. I don't care that much about going fast. I just care about being out on the water doing cool things. So I'd love to buy one of those eventually, but to do that, I want to get out on the water more. And since my wife's about to have a baby in February, come summertime, she's probably going to be chilling at home with the baby, kind of resting still. And I'm going to have my other 3 kids. So what I love, a lot of things would have to go right, but I'd love to buy a jet ski. And I need to buy one big enough to fit all 4 of us, which they only make one, and it's coming out in the spring. We'll see how expensive it is. I have a feeling it's going to be like 35 grand, but so that I could go take my kids, teach them to swim. I got to get them swimming lessons to teach them to swim better. Before I take them out. I'll probably have a buddy with me to be safe though. But anyways, we'd hit the lake, hit the beach, all kinds of stuff. I think that'd be so cool. So, but I don't know. That's a very long shot and probably a little unrealistic because we'd have to make a couple big checks before now and then.
Hey, but that's
to justify it. So
right.
But yeah, the other goal, last goal, unless you got another one. You got another one or no?
The last thing, quickly. Everybody knows I have a glove business, and the last couple of years, it's been revenue driven, my goal, but I kind of realized I'm not been the most financially responsible in the business, honestly. And so I'm going to try to achieve 30% profit in that business this year coming up. And it's just me being a little more dialed, a little more systematic, a little more strategic in the business, and not just trying to do like go all over the place and do all these crazy things. So yeah, I think that's going to actually honestly help me grow even more in that business. But it's going to be a side business. It's not going to be the main focus. It's not going to even try to be 50% focus. Just going to take the stuff as it comes because I got a lot of interest, a lot of clients. But these businesses take forever to make decisions. So it's a long play. And yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Focused on commercial real estate.
That's awesome. I would say the probably last and most important goal that I had is just to take really good care of my wife after she has a baby. Because if you ever had a baby, it can be tough, especially on the mom after she gives birth, and the first couple of months is tough. You got a baby who needs you at every second, not a lot of sleep. So I really just want to do as best I can to take very, very good care of her, make her feel very supported and loved, and just that's more important than anything this year. So just have a smooth, have her baby, and then have her come and be here and taken care of. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. It's awesome. You got a brand new house to do it in.
Yep. Super thankful for that.
It's sick.
It's been good. So yeah, guys, if you hopefully enjoy this, we were planning on going like 20 minutes, but we're
over an hour, I think.
Over an hour, I believe, which is awesome. Just riffing, not rifting. But if you listen to this, please reach out to us. Let us know what your goals are. We'd love to hear about them.
Absolutely.
If you got feedback on the podcast, reach out to us. We'd love to hear it. improvements for better or worse, whatever it is. We want to grow and do better. Follow me on Instagram. Follow Jesse on Instagram. It's probably the best place to reach out to us.
Absolutely.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Follow the YouTube. Yeah, just show us some love. Let us know what you're thinking about your goals, and we'll see you in the next one. We got a couple banger episodes coming out.
Yes, sir.
We're going to drop this one next week. I think Tyler Caldwell's going to be the week after that, and then like guy we mentioned, Danny Newberry, he's a really good guy. So we got some really good episodes coming. Also, lastly, if you have not given us a review, we still only have like 5 or 6 on Spotify. We know there's way more listeners than that. We have a good amount now every episode. So please go rate us whatever you think is fair. Hopefully it's 5 stars. And we'll see you in the next one, guys.
Thank you, guys.